exceptionally well in the part one, and because we only have, I think, 5 sessions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we have 6 sessions, 5 sessions. Okay, today six sessions. It's we have to go pretty fast for the next set because part two will be due, and then the simulation. By show of hands, because I know you guys are a quiet bunch, can you tell me, or show me, or put in the chat, how many of you have completed the simulation, the court experience? Have you started it? Um, do you plan on going anytime soon? Has anybody done interviews? Yes, Sydney. I think you're on mute, Sydney. Sydney, you had your hand up. Does that mean that you guys have started with the court preparation, or do you still need a group? Okay, I'll check my chats. All right, so the plan today is to look at part two of the POE. If you can please open your POE and keep it ready at page 29. I'm waiting for everybody to come on. I am recording. I then just have a few slides that I want to go through. And if you have any questions, please unmute and start speaking because I'm not going to be able to see who is on the chat. Right. So we are back and we are now going to complete this POE, God willing. There are only a few months left for the semester, and somehow this one goes much faster than the other. Just a quick reminder, if you are going to email me, please state that you are from the part-time group so that I can expedite your query because I do have other students on site and I'd like to ensure that you guys are also not left behind. Okay, so this is the same stuff from the last time, the housekeeping. If remember, if you did not attempt part one, I want to give you a little bit of hope. I once had a student that missed the whole of semester one because of family issues, and as a result, she didn't do any submissions, but she still managed to get 80s in the next two submissions, and then the marks evened itself out, and she passed on the dot, but she passed. So even if you come in with a bad mark, I think there might be one or two students who really didn't have good marks. And it's highly possible because you guys are under other pressures that we don't understand. You're working and there's a whole lot of other things going on in your lives. You have families. So I just wanted to say that there is still hope and that you can still pass. But I do require you to come to class, ask questions, email me, and focus on the next two assessments. So the first assessment you have now coming up shortly is part two of the POE. Remember, if you have not, for instance, done question three of part one, if you didn't do it at all, you won't be allowed to resubmit it. Resubmission means that I have done it before and that I am reattempting because I did not attain full marks. I will do a video for you and post it, like a chunked video, explaining how you need to put together this portfolio of evidence and how the resubmission works as well. If you have not yet attended court or had your interviews or split into groups and assigned work for the simulation, I think that you need to start seriously putting time away for that because there are a few months, and together with every other subject that you have, you're going to fall short. For the simulation, there's a few documents that have to go in together, but remember, I gave you 5 questions, which we'll discuss at the end of today's class. If those are answered, if I have my article, we have the TikTok, we should be okay at least, and then the evaluations, and that makes up those 80 marks. Now, let's move on to today's work. So on ARC, I have added a new pacer. They want us to have all of the ARC pages looking very much the same. So I'm still working on XHLS, but I have done your PIMA already, and I'll see you next week for PIMA. So let's go to our ARC page quickly, and let me just show you how it looks. If you see anybody waiting in the lobby, please let them in. Okay, so let's just dismiss this. Okay, so under welcome, let's click on it. I'm just reminding you again, you are not permitted to use AI when completing your work for this course. I only had one issue, but it got sorted out, and I'm asking you again, please don't do that. You are not permitted. It says so in the POE, and I've made sufficient notices in your lessons and on ARC. Now, under lecture slides, I'll add this week's lecture, and that will be probably over the weekend. But I need you to go to welcome. Where did I put weekly recordings? I just added something now, and I don't know where I put this thing. Okay. I'll put it into announcements, and then I'll add it as well to one of these tabs on the side. But what I wanted to tell you is today we're not going in sequential order in the POE. And the reason for that is we do not have the luxury of completing the work that the POE wants in time. If you look at question 1 of part 2, it requires you to do a disciplinary hearing notice. We haven't even started PIMA, so I'm not going to touch on that yet. According to the schedule I've created, today we're going to do question 2, which is worth 65 marks. Next week, or the next time I see you, we will be doing another question, and then finally we'll be doing question 1. So hopefully by then you would have done some work in ASML, and we can do question 3 and then come back to question 1. It's important that we try to keep with the other programs that are happening simultaneously, and that way the work is easier to get through. Okay, back to my slides. So there's a new semester pacer. For some reason, I can't find it, but I'm going to find it and then put it on announcements as well. Don't forget the law referencing guide. A lot of you lost 5 or 10% because you're giving me in-text references. And in the law faculty, we use footnotes. And you have to follow the rules. If you didn't follow the rules, then I was forced to deduct from you. If you still don't know how to do it, I left love notes in the remarks saying, ask me for a consult or go and see the library consultant because they can assist you with that too. All right, let's do question 2. Seeing that we are halfway to this course, we're going to go into the middle of this POE, and part 2, question 2, looking at the scenario we had where an employee had caused an accident and damaged another vehicle. We used vicarious liability, which you guys explained pretty well. And we're now demanding an amount of money from this person. So when we do that, they are now asking us to proceed with drafting that letter of demand. And that's for 15 marks. They ask you to firstly consider the annexures that you'll find in the POE itself. So if you go to the POE and you scroll all the way down, this is the question, and you scroll all the way down to Annexure 1. Annexure 1 gives you the meat of the letter for different types of letters. So the first one is about a parent and guardian and the schools, and there's an amount of money outstanding. Is it that one? The second one is a letter of demand, meaty part, about somebody whose vehicle caused a collision. The third one is about a client who loaned a sum of money and now has to pay that back. And the fourth one speaks about plumbing repairs for services done. The last one we have, which is number 5, speaks about a vehicle that was purchased. Quickly, who can tell me which meaty part are we going to use from Annexure A in order to draft our letter of demand? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Anybody can speak. I can't. I'm busy with this thing here now, so I might not even see you pick up your hand. Can somebody tell me? Anyone? I was on page 37 of your module manual. Remember, we had a motor vehicle collision, so therefore we're going to use letter of demand precedent 2. So this is how it works. We are going to firstly put in our letterhead. So the letterhead that you've used all the time, not with your surname, with Muvango, Bowles, Young, and Martin attorneys. After the letterhead, what's normally in a letter? A date. Then, who are we sending this to? Or what is this about? It's about the matter, and you put your reference number that you had for your file, you put that one down. Then you're going to send it, and it says, if you read on, via email, and you're going to put the email address in. Okay. Now that those formalities are done, it starts, Dear Sir, or Sirs. Okay. What is this about? Our client, Mr. Brown, and the motor vehicle collision dated, and I think it was the 3rd of February, I can't remember, 2026. Then, oh, how did I spell Brown? Sorry. So let's bold that. This also gets bolded, and that is the base of the letter. We're then going to take the LOD guts, which we will find in the POE here. And you can't really cut and paste from here. I don't think that this thing's going to allow it. You're going to have to retype it. Let me see. Cut and yay! It worked for me. I don't know why it worked. Okay. So you're going to cut and paste that section and make sure you take the whole letter and you cut it and we paste it. So you're going to fill out the information here. It's obviously going to be a little bit different because the accident did not occur at Prim and Rose Drive. It occurred at William Nicol. Okay, so you're going to say on or about the 3rd of February, our client, who was the owner and driver of, and you put the vehicle details in, bearing the registration, whatever, was involved in a collision. The collision occurred at the intersection of, it's going to be, or at the main intersection or whatever of William Nicol, Four Ways, Sandton, Johannesburg. At the time of the collision, you were the owner and your driver. So you have to change that because here it's we're sending the letter of demand and the question is who do we send it to because we have two defendants. Here you can send it to both defendants. You can say company email and Mr. It's Peter Brown and what's the other guy's name? Anybody can talk, you can help me, it's fine. I can't remember the other guy's name. Okay, so Mr. whoever it is who was responsible as the driver. So you need to read this letter. It gives you the base for what we're doing, and then you fill it out and then add the sum, and it will be probably 100,000. Make sure that it doesn't go over the magistrate's court rate of 200,000. And then you say, should payment of this full total not be made to our offices by a certain date, our instruction are then to proceed with issuing summons. You then sign off the letter, not yours in love or yours faithfully. It's kind regards, and then you sign off with the attorney. Okay, so the attorney signs there. This mustn't be. Okay, that's how it looks. So if you give me all of this and you fill it out correctly, I'm going to give you 15 out of 15 because that's how simple it is. If you forget some of the skills, the letterhead information, and you just put in this meaty part, I have to give you a mark, but it's not going to be total. All right. So it's important that you use the correct letter of demand template and that you add the other information to make a letter of demand. And that was question 2.1. Are there any questions so far? Nothing? Are you guys very tired? Okay, then after you've done that, you go to 2.2. And now we're going to have a discussion, and you have to speak here because it's not going to help if we don't have a discussion. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. These questions are available on page 29 and 30. It goes on to page 30. You are not required in question 2.2 to provide us with a summons. Have you guys seen what a summons looks like? Do you want me to show you what a summons looks like?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I have one that was done in the High Court. Let me open it up here. Okay, this was a matter a colleague of mine did. Why is he doing this to me? Okay, let's do that and let's go up. So it says in the High Court of South Africa, if you have two defendants, how many copies will you make? So you are the plaintiff, you are for Cartage CC, and you want to sue Alumira Minerals and Quaizen Zen. How many copies are you going to make of this document? One for yourself, one for the court, and one for each of the defendants. Now, we don't have a case number. What usually happens is you take your 4 copies, you go to court, you see the registrar of the High Court or the clerk of the Magistrates Court. They then either use this machine that they roll the documents into and automatically stamps on a case number, or they put a case number on, which is sequential number that they have, and that's how they keep record of stuff. So they'll allocate you a case number. You don't have one. Then the summons is a document that provides us with general information about who we're calling to court, what you need the sheriff to do, and that they have a certain period of time, so 10 days, to notify you if they're going to fight against the summons. So this is a template that is used. Once you have your template in place, to this you then have to add your particulars of claim. Now, your particulars of claim, if this thing is going to just allow me to scroll down and not fight with me. Okay, your particulars of claim is the story. It's some of the information provided in your letter of demand, but it's why you actually breaking down and saying, I'm bringing you to court because of X, Y, and Z. Now, you will learn when you're now busy with ASML that parties are cited a certain way. If it's a CC, you have to mention the type of organization, the registration number, where they are registered at, like in terms of South African law, and what the registered address is. If it's a PTY limited, the same details are added in there, but it's now in terms of the Companies Act. So that information is available in the annexure, the supplementary reader that they give you for ASML. I don't do that with you, and you don't need it for this exercise. But I'm just showing you how everything fits in. Everything that you learn in this course is relevant, and you will use it. You're supposed to learn and remember and not forget any of the stuff. Now, the first thing you're going to say is these are the parties. Then you're going to explain how you have the right to come to this particular court because you need a resolution from this forum. You learned in FSAL which courts have jurisdiction and how we calculate that jurisdiction. We look at where the accident occurred or where the property is. We look at where the defendant is. We look at where the contract was signed. We look at the amounts. All of those things are relevant. So we've already decided here this court has jurisdiction and this is the reason. Now we look at background and of the matter. So in this case, we're asking for an amount of money. So they use the word background and indebtedness. You don't have to say that. You can just give background. So you're saying, I know about, for our scenario, it would be, I know about this date at this place. This vehicle crashed into that one. And it was the parties, this party was responsible, and this is what we did. And he failed to keep a lookout. There was stuff that you did in part one that you made a few mistakes with. And I don't know if you didn't have a chance to look at the videos, but I told you to go to the prescribed reader for ASPL in order to pull or extract that information. I think maybe 60% of you got it right, but some of you forgot. So you used common sense, and where common sense was used, I gave you 1 or 2 marks if I could, but ultimately there's a certain way of phrasing certain things. So this is a particulars of claim. It goes all the way down, and right at the bottom, what are we looking for? We're asking for relief. We're praying to the court. That's what they use. They call it prayers. So wherefore the plaintiff prays for judgment against the first and second defendants. In our scenario would be the same. Payment in the sum of year, it would be 100,080 rand. Payment of interest thereon, which is the legal rate of 15.5%. We also ask for costs and further or alternate relief, because if the court is not going to give us what we want, the specific performance, then they must give you some sort of relief. It gets signed by the attorneys and then it's done. Now we've signed the documents, we've printed 4 copies because we have 2 defendants. Now we have to send it to the sheriff. And this is important because I need you to start working on that letter to the sheriff and the letter for the client. For those, there's no time for me to go and type in today. So what I'll do is I'll make you chunked videos about 2.3 and 2.4 so that you know what is expected of you. Okay. Is everybody fine so far? So you're going to explain this, and that's done. But now we have another question to go through. These 4 questions, 2.2. It says here you don't have to do the particulars of claim, the thing I showed you. You don't have to do the summons, but he needs this information, the attorney needs this information in order to help him decide where you're going to go to, which court you're going to go to, how much you're going to ask for, which sheriff you need to ask, and they're asking you other things to research. So for this, it's important to look at your DCCP textbook. It's also important to, when you are Googling, right? They have guided you here on going to sheriff.org, for instance. They've guided you and said, why don't you look at the Law Society for certain answers? And I'm going to tell you the same thing because it's easier to find. So, question 1, it says, identify the court in which this matter will proceed out of and explain why this court has jurisdiction. Who can tell me? In our matter relating to um, Brown and Jones, which court would we be going out of? The accident occurred in on William Nicol Road. What would you say? You have to answer now. You have to speak to me so I can help you. Because yeah, I can only guide. I can't give you any notes. You have to actually research this yourself. Anybody? Would it be a Cape Town court? Where is
No,
Sandton?
ma'am.
Okay, where do you think it is, my darling?
I think based on the information provided, I think they said 4 ways, right, ma'am? They said the
Yes.
accident. Yes. So I'm not sure which court, I'm just going to be honest, is close to that area.
Okay, so you have to check on Google Maps and you'll have to do some Googling for this. But I'm going to suggest, so this is how the courts work in Joburg. Is firstly, are we going to a high court or are we going to a magistrate's court? What do you think?
I'm
Magistrate.
thinking
Magis
magistrates.
okay, both of you said magistrate. I would agree, and I'm going to say yes. It's one of the magistrate's courts that you're going to. I'm also saying that it's about 18 kilometers from the Joburg Magistrates Court and about 8 kilometers from the Randburg Magistrates Court and about 25 or 30 kilometers from the Pretoria Magistrates Court. Which one do you think would be applicable here? Roodepoort is about 20 kilometers away. So from what I'm saying and when you go and you research, you're going to find that the closest magistrates court to this accident is going to be the Randburg Magistrates Court. So when you say that, you have to say why. And I'm going to give you one reason. You can go find other reasons. One reason might be the amount. One reason might be where it happened. So remember to phrase it well so that I can give you 5 marks. You're going to tell me which court you're going to, why you're going to that court, and you're going to give those why reasons, at least 3 or 4 reasons, so I can give you 5 out of 5. Okay. Then the next question. Identify the sheriff of the court. So I want you to go onto sheriff.org and you're going to go and search for the sheriff that deals with this particular area. So if you had the exact address, you could put it in and say, which sheriff has jurisdiction over this matter? But I'm speaking about sheriff. Do you guys even know what a sheriff is? Is he the guy with the cowboy hat, the star, and the spurs? Hmm? Or is a sheriff a person who has the responsibility of serving documents? And we have hundreds of sheriffs in the country because each area has a particular sheriff who has to then expedite a court order. So you're going to use the website they provided you with in your document, and you're going to identify the sheriff. Do you guys want to take 5 minutes to research this so I can clarify if you have the right answer? See, I can't give you the answers. I just have to poke at it. I want you to Google quickly. Which sheriff would have jurisdiction if the accident occurred in Fourways on William Nicol? Google that. You have 5 minutes. So yes, find a sheriff, locate a sheriff. I'm gonna say area, or I'm gonna say Randburg. Randburg has 2, so you can check either out. Okay, let's try Randburg South first. I'm gonna duplicate my screen and do Sheriff West here. Okay, because we go to Randburg. Um, and when you put Sheriff West in there or the sheriff, this is Leila Isop. See, a sheriff doesn't have to be a boy, it can be a girl also. Okay, and the service area we're going to look for is Fourways. So it's a drop down arrow, and you just have to find the information. And what do you think the answer is? Yeah. Is it going to be Sheriff West, or is it going to be Randburg West, Or is it going to be Sheriff Randburg Southwest? What do you think?
Randburg West.
Randburg West. Okay. And why did you say so? Because now they want to know why. Did you see that? They asked you why. Okay, so I would also say it's Randburg West. And then you have to give details of who the sheriff is. So all you do is you say it's Miss S.I. Siboka or Miss Sarah Intumeleng Siboka. And you can say that if you look closely and you look at service areas, it was taking me too long. It tells you that the sheriff services the Four Ways area as well. So we need to know where the defendant is so that we can serve on them. There's 5 marks. Just for saying Randburg West, just for saying Sarah Siboka, I've already given you 4 marks. And you use 1 mark to say either the person lived in the area or the accident happened in the area. There's your 5 marks. Okay. Then the next question is explain some of the general duties and powers of the sheriff of the court. There's a typo there. So for this one here, I want you to use your textbook. There's a section that tells you about the sheriffs. It's not a very long one. Remember, the textbook that will help you with this is your commercial law textbook. I think an introduction, the FSL textbook might help you as well. So you're just going to find out what the sheriff does. Give me 5 points. You don't even have to make long sentences. Give me 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. The same way you discussed what happens when a file is dead. That's what you did. You gave me points and it worked. Okay, and then the last question asks you to explain how do you go about finding a correspondent attorney using modern online tools. So what you're going to do here is there's 2 ways. Firstly, who can tell me what is a correspondent attorney? Is it a pen pal that you have that answers all your questions? What is a correspondent attorney? Who can tell me? Emily Nontobeko, do you want to help me out here? What is a correspondent attorney? Have you ever heard of this, guys? If you haven't, it's fine. I'll tell you what it is. Okay, we're so quiet. The assumption is you don't know, so fine, I'll tell you. So the rule is that you practice within the jurisdiction of the matters usually, but you often find clients that love you so much that they don't want to go to any other attorney. They trust those attorneys. Now, just because you are the attorney on record, it doesn't mean that the matter happened in your jurisdiction. So what if they have been called to court in Cape Town and you are in Johannesburg? You can handle the matter from Cape Town, but you will need a post box, a special legal post box to receive and serve for you. So you will find an attorney in Cape Town, either a person through word of mouth, because you guys really need to make friends, or you're going to check the Law Society website, or you're going to Google, and you're going to find an attorney who is close to the court that you need to serve on, who is willing to be your legal postbox, your correspondent attorney. You agree to an amount. So they might say every time we send you documents to serve and file, meaning go to the place, serve it, and file it at court, give us a copy so we have record of it, that it's going to cost you 250 Rand. It's a very small fee. It's really like a postal service, if you ask me. That is possible. Ideally, and I know maybe you or in Leo's you were taught if it's not in your jurisdiction, don't deal with it. But correspondent attorneys do work. Sometimes it's good to have a correspondent attorney because you're sending counsel to go and fight a matter, and an advocate to go and fight a matter on that side. And before they get there, then you need to know that the court file is in order. So they'll go to court, they'll check the file, they'll make sure there's copies available for the advocate. And if you can't make it there, at least there's an attorney to discuss the matter or be there for your client. So correspondent attorneys can work, but you can't make lots of money being a correspondent attorney. What you can do is ensure that you have good relations with attorneys in other places. That's it. All right. So, in order to find one, I would suggest Google. I would suggest the Law Society. You can go to Google first, then check with the Law Society if the person's in good standing. If they are in good standing, then that's fine. Then you use that attorney and you build relationships. You never know if a client wants to buy property in another place and then you need to refer a client, or if they do work that you never touch on. So you never deal with conveyancing because you have no conveyances and they are, then they can assist, for instance. Okay, so that covers question 2.1 and 2.2. I see that we do have question 2.3 here. I think it might be best if I just take 2.3 and make a little chunked video for it. Let me just see what is the question quickly. I am now on page 30 of the module manual. So it says Mr. Brown hasn't responded. Your next step in the process is to issue summons and serve it. Draft a letter to your client to advise them on which court you're going to, what sheriff you're going to use, issue summons, etc. Okay, this one's important because I have a feeling that 2.3 becomes, yes, a resubmission question. So you have to answer 2.3. You can't shy away from it. And the idea is you get good marks. So let me do a chunked video for 2.3 and a chunked video for 2.4. That way, we can maximize and get the 30 marks. Okay. Any questions so far? I really want to have a serious discussion about the simulation. So the only things left here, besides the chunked videos, is next week I'm going to do question 3 with you. And question 3 is the table. Hopefully by then you do it in ASML. If some of you did business studies years ago, you'd be able to answer this, but some of you may just know this is general knowledge. So, different types of enterprises, we'll do a quick discussion about it. I'll give you a quick lesson on it, and hopefully you'll be able to answer these questions. Question 4 has to do with a telephone conversation, and I'll also cover that briefly in the next lesson that I have you. And then in the final week, so the 6 weeks from now, just before submission is due, I hopefully by then we would have done enough work in PIMA, which is Principles of Employment Law, and then I'll be able to do that question with you in class. So, with that said, if there are no questions so far on the work we've covered today, I want to discuss what's going on with your court appearances because time is of the essence, and I think I feel like it's running out on us. So let me just share my screen again. For the simulation, the plan was for you to go to court or to be with a legal advisor and get a better understanding of the legal profession. Remember, you were put into groups of 5. You could select your own people. You're going to attend court, do the interview, take pictures or group pictures. So if somebody's on the other end of the world, you don't all have to be in the same place. If somebody's on the other end of South Africa or somewhere else in the world, they take a picture with the other practitioner and you add it to this legal article, the one in the middle. So there are 5 questions which I'll show you on the next screen. Those 5 questions can be short paragraphs which make up this legal article that you're doing with the photograph, right? Then you're going to use footage from your day visiting the court or going to a legal practitioner, and you're going to document that through videos. You are then going to put the videos together and create a TikTok. Don't forget, there's a self-evaluation and a peer evaluation that has to be submitted. Do not give them to your peers. If you had a fallout, if you were fighting, you don't need to be fighting anymore. You send that to me. I'd like to see how you evaluate the person and how you deal with conflict resolution. Okay. So, which court Okay, so you have to explain in the first paragraph. We attended at the Randburg Magistrates Court. This is a one of the lower courts, and it happens to be a regional or district court. It's found at the corner of this and this. Usually, attorneys frequent this court, but you would find advocates and people representing themselves. Then number two, what are the duties or function of the clerk of the court? If you're going to a high court, it's a registrar. You're going to have a quick discussion with them, or you're just going to observe them and see what they do and how it works. Number three, the third paragraph. Your interview with an attorney randomly. People like questions, but just make sure they're not going to charge you. And you say, I'm doing an assignment. May I please just ask you one or two questions about your job? Ideally, we want to know what's the best and what's the worst thing. You are a law student, and that might be your path one day. Then you're going to say, you're going to answer this. Now, if you are the fourth person, you just have to go and research this a bit. Do you think that there is an access to justice problem in South Africa? And the last question for the fifth person, in your opinion, how can we improve justice, access to justice in South Africa? And that is the whole assignment. So it doesn't take long. I mean, it doesn't, to put together once you have everything, it doesn't take long. But you have to plan really well. Please make sure that your TikTok is not longer than 5 minutes. I had a student in my on-site class that says, ma'am, our TikTok is 17 minutes. Can it be? I said, are you going to provide us with popcorn and snacks? Because we're not there to watch a mini film. We're there to watch a TikTok. 5 minutes is long for a TikTok, but that's the max it should be. Do you have any questions relating to the work, anything about the assignment that you already did, or the assignment that's coming up now, the ones that we're busy with? Are you feeling comfortable? Do you want me to put you okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you into breakaway rooms quickly just to see how you are, because some people are a little bit shy. I need to know that you understand what's going on, and then I feel comfortable that I can continue at the pace that I am. Please join the rooms. Okay, I think we're back in the main room now. There's nothing further for this evening. If you do have any queries, you are very welcome to contact me via email. And I thank you for joining me this evening. I'll see you next week for PIMA. Have a great week further. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Good night.
Bye.